Really?
That's such a good call. So what happens is with Braum, you don't have pressure in the lane. So usually when we are looking at mages in the bot side, it's when we get something like a Bard. It's like, we'll go mage for mage. It's not usually when you have something like a Thresh or Nautilus, because they can punish the mage pick super well. But mages in the bot lane scale incredibly strong, because when you look at this Lulu, you can get the likes of Ardent Sensor for your Ashe, who's going to be firing repeatedly here. You've got great setup as well when it comes to your ultimates and the shields you can provide. So for a Braum, you don't really have any way of punishing, especially as an Ezreal as well. Yeah. So now you've got these great scaling options for your support role that can help facilitate the rest of your team.
I mean, we get towards, you know, the bit of the front to back to be built up here and how Lulu can facilitate that as well from the backlines herself. But interesting draft from V5. I think a little bit different from what we're used to seeing, but one element that stays the same, the Ashe being a priority, how they find their picks and how they get there. You know, 80 carry in a good position. I think SamD and Y4 have kind of facilitated the same role. I was talking about this with Lyric, and he was posing some thoughts towards me that I'm sure he can clarify when we get into
it's
playoffs.
Very obvious. Like, they are basically the same players, right? It's the Ashe, you get the Senna a little bit with Y4, but they're very much about this more utility style where they're trying to set up the rest of the team for success, because you have Weiwei, who they were playing through a lot originally. Mole has really stepped up as a big carry for this team as well. But SamD, when I look at him against Y4, it's more his positioning is that little bit better where he can churn out that little bit more damage on his Ashe than in comparison to Y4. The issue as to why Y4 was brought in and a lot of situations seems to be that communication, because SamD, of course, the Korean coming in, so doesn't have the perfect communication with ppgod. ppgod even talked about it actually in his interview that Munch did, and if anyone hasn't seen it, highly recommend checking that interview out. But yeah, he's it's more about the communication as to why Y4 was stepped in.
I think
you got SamD.
I think also you got to remember that for someone like, you know, SamD and Y4, when you start going downhill, just getting a sub in and refreshing the roster is pretty crucial to the team state. So either way, SamD starting off here as we enter Summoner's Rift. A bit of an invade attempted, but spotted out in the end by V5. As we take a look across the rune set, everything pretty standard here. The fleet footwork has been taken by a lot of our Camilles outside of Grasp of the Undying. And a bit more sustain in this lane. We get Xiaoxiang versus Biubiu. I think we get Ornn versus Camille. And let's see how EDG attack topside, because you talked about it in draft. We know what TF does, and with Jiejie on Lee Sin with the Camille top, there's a lot of potential to try and smack this Ornn, and Weiwei's response is going to be needed.
And I think when we look towards how this game is going to start piecing together, look, and when we get to those early game fights where you've got like the one item spike for Mole and the Echo, play the rune king from SamD, V5 are going to be in a pretty strong spot, because you do have a lot of damage that's going to be able to be churned out there, especially when you add a Lulu who's going to hit that Ardent Sensor, Athene's and Holy Grail. Those early team fights, especially around those dragons, are incredibly strong for V5 in a 5 versus 5 situation. However, what EDG are going to be looking to try and do is give Hope time to scale up to those 2 items, or maybe find a couple of times where they can use Scout, having that Destiny available to pick off members of V5 and turn some of those advantages towards Dragon, or either just helping Xiaoxiang and scale super late into this game, because when it gets to the scaling portion in that side lane, Xiaoxiang will win. But in a 5v5 situation, it's very much in favor of V5.
I think it's just interesting as well that we've got, you know, a bit of global pressure from Hope with Two-Shot Barrage with Scout. I mean, you don't get the Senna, you don't get the same, I guess, support from the shielding that comes out of her ulti, but still a bit of pressure added as the bottom lane of V5 hits 2 first. And what we've seen out of this bottom lane before is there is a hell of a lot of poke to keep up with. So Hope and Meiko are going to be trying staying safe here while Jiejie tries to attack topside.
Weiwei is only on his red though, hasn't made it up towards his top side. I actually expected Weiwei to start top and then start farming towards his bot side, so he'd have the pressure from SamD and ppgod to secure that Rift Scuttler, but looks like Biubiu is happy enough to just shove this in and then come and support Weiwei regardless.
Weiwei's sitting on a ward while Jiejie goes back to his own jungle. And so for Xiaoxiang on the Camille, he can just kind of play back a little bit until he leaves, but topside Scuttle, with the way this mid lane and topside is going, should be given over to V5 if they want it. As Trundle's going to land on the Scout gold card there. The pillar placement crucial. Knocks him up, but Jiejie's in as well. Mole just backs away. And Ignite was placed down thanks to Unseal.
And now you can see that Scuttle Crab play coming through with ppgod leaning up into this river to make sure that Weiwei could go for this. You know that Jiejie's on this bottom side, but if I'm Weiwei, I can go from this bottom scuttle towards top scuttle, and then look at where my two camps are right now. They're in that top side, so it's a great call from Weiwei, and this is how we saw him getting these jungle leads against the likes of Kanavi as well, was by playing through these early scuttles and having the team support him.
Get your way all the way up there. Well, Jiejie just goes back to farming, and once again, for V5, already secured into playoffs, but EDG and Rogue Warriors, their next two series, including this one, of course, is must win for top 4. Weiwei's now hit level 4, coming up towards his top side. Biubiu with the searing charger will connect, but oh no, he's gone back in. Xiaoxiang, does he still have the hook shot, wolf shot? He flashes away, that's going to be a no! And Weiwei gets first blood, nicely done.
Great gank from Weiwei, but surprised to see Xiaoxiang go aggressive there, especially when we just talked about, hey, Weiwei's going to go scuttle to scuttle. You know he's on that top side, and with Biubiu having shoved that wave in, he's going to have a great back.
You've got a Trundle with early first blood. Not a bad way to start here for V5. Small gold lead in the game as well. And teleport being used, Biubiu can just walk to lane with where the wave is. So really nice pickup in the Bammy Cinder as well as we watch this again. Oh, he hook shot, wall shot off the Q from Ornn.
Yeah, so was able to very quickly try and stop Biubiu's engage, but it wasn't Biubiu that was the problem with Weiwei sitting there. Xiaoxiang now trying to freeze this wave because, as you can see, Jiejie's on this top side of the map, so trying to force Biubiu to overextend. And when you know that Weiwei is going to be pathing, well, should have been pathing down towards that bottom side, looks like he is going to be. EDG looking for an advantage on this top end.
Jiejie might be able to find position. At the very least, frogs are available to him.
They're still only level 1 though, so it's not the biggest of advantage for Jiejie. He can still though just look to take this camp and then sneak in towards that top side, which I imagine is going to be the call, but Weiwei reading this is actually going to start paying attention towards his bottom side and start racking up these dragons using the pressure SamD and ppgod.
And this will give Weiwei a nice bit of momentum as well if he wants to hit either of these lanes. Remember that we are 6 in the mid lane here for scouts, so the ability to kind of respond to this twist of fate as he is between lanes. Mole with a great ward to spot scout out as well. Bit of damage, Trouble Bubble does land with a passive from W. Half health he goes, and that even more so secures the first dragon of the game for V5.
I want to see Scout getting out of this lane, though. It's like, okay, we already said V5 are going to have pressure in these dragons nice and early, so EDG have to turn that into advantages elsewhere. Use the time that V5 is committed to the dragons. Fortunately, though, looks like Xiaoxiang wasn't able to hold that freeze in the top lane, so when Jiejie tried to make a play, Biubiu was able to get to safety. And now we've still got Scout, who does have his Destiny available, but a little bit low on mana.
I mean, he built up the wave so he could roam here into mid. At least put some pressure onto Mole, and remember, we want to see Scout move across the map, but even with that push-up, even with the top laner roaming down, nothing really nets because of it. But Jiejie will get Scuttle, topside pressure, and deep vision control, so you'll say that's a worth for now, depending on what EDG can do with this Herald coming up in a minute.
There is the opportunity, though, for them to start moving folks around, but as you can see, you've got SamD that's already moved back down towards its bottom line. Both AD carries in this game have opted for teleport, so we got to pay more attention to when ppgod and Meiko are moving for this Rift Herald rather than the likes of SamD. But this wave is going to be slowly pushing in towards SamD, so unless he clears that out quick, there's always a potential in this next 40 seconds that EDG go for the Rift Herald and SamD stuck because of the wave in bot lane.
Got ppgod beside him now, though, as well. I just like seeing that we've got double AD carry with TP this time around. There's no cleanse, there's no, heal taking the combat summoner into lane. Triple TP on the side of V5. You got Spellbook at the moment, which means Ignite for Mole, but he did take TP into this lane originally. So, be curious to see when we do get to those fights. And we've got a Lulu with Aether Wisp. So Ardent Sensor starting off as first item.
I'm surprised to see Scout leading on that side here. I know as we were talking about, hey look, we're kind of looking at the spot lane we can push in here is Hope and Meiko, but in my mind the best place to try and make this TP, our Destiny play work, will be up towards that top side using Xiaoxiang and having Jiejie up that end, but it looks like EDG are just going to forego any sort of early pressure towards these objectives at all, Because you can see already V5 are moving up towards this first round.
Yeah, because they know they're on it. Spotted out by Vision. But pings are getting spammed down at the very least from Scout. Well, it's a threat, or maybe they're looking towards mid. There's a ward right in the middle of the wave. Even after it gets cleared away, they'll see them, but V5 just move out of mid. And with 4 people here, with an Ashe in the bottom lane, Herald to be secured, and V5 continue to control objectives in this game, while EDG was spamming pings in mid, but didn't really get anything.
Xiaoxiang hasn't really had a good chance to have a back. You can see he's sitting on the double Dorans and just the health regen item. Not actually able to pick up as many items as Biubiu, so I think EDG a bit fearful of trying to make any sort of plays happen on the top side from that place. But I mean, look, you leave mid lane is EDG, and V5 will nearly get a turret plate. Not quite a turret coming off.
But at the very least, they push out, setting up for this bottom side scuttle. We got a minute 50 till the next dragon. And as Hope pushes us out here, you have to respect that there is not too much vision in the bottom side river. And so, while we've had like a reasonably slow early game, I think it's fair to say that... What? I don't care. How does that hit? Like, the minions like kicked it off his little tootsie toe and said, here, have it. Here, Scout, did you want this? That was some hitbox.
There's a couple of, like... I think people forget a lot of the times that the hitbox is actually like a rectangle. So there is these weird little corners that do stick out from the champions that you can connect with. Like Thresh players a lot when you see those weird hooks that land in behind people. They're just hitting onto the edge of them. But,
the crazy thing is
they do look janky.
When you're watching it, it's like all the way to the left with the Thresh hooks. And then it just swings and connects to the right. You're like, yeah, all right.
It's like straight over the minion's head. And you're like, this is, come on.
This is, well, Mole's not nearby for this bit of turret plating. That's kind of sad. I feel like it will go down.
I do think for the jankiest ones, though, are definitely the Bards. The Bards, those little cosmic bindings, and how they just... I don't know what they even attach to sometimes. You're just like, huh?
A piece of the wall, right? Yeah.
If even it's like a pebble that is fallen off the wall that they've managed to connect to.
I noticed my biggest frustration recently has been Ornn steering charge, where the top side wall, there's a little bit of the wall sticking out, like there is in bot here on your screen as you enter the lane. And if you try and hit like the tip of the wall, you don't actually hit the wall. It is so annoying. And you just made it look like an Ornn loser, like you've never played the champion before and you can't hit the skill shotters. Scout almost gets hit by one, maybe Mole can't either. But Scout can't walk through that way anymore. The wave pushing up, and yes, he did miss a turret plating before, but he does have a CS lead in the lane. Pushes up, get ready to roam botters. We have a kick flash here onto Sam D, but Wild Growth is used. And for EDG, limited damage source. True Shot Barrage flies through his teleport right on top of this AD carry. V5 are losing health bars pretty quick because True Shot Barrage, the Ornn ulti rises through. V5 trade on back as Hextech ultimatum from Xiaoxiang. Mole's in with an exhaust. He's doing the most damage and helps kill Jiejie in the end. A double kill for the Ornn, and Biubiu survives, but a 4. What was it, Dagda? 3 for 3 in the end? 2 for 1? How many specials did
I
he
think
get?
it was 3 for 4 in the end. I think as we go through that, because we've got Sam D, ppgod, Mole, and also Weiwei went down. So great play from Jiejie, all starting off with this very quick kick. And you see Sam D thinks he's safe because he has cavalry waiting in the wings, but not able to escape a very quick TP coming in from both the Destiny and also from Xiaoxiang here. And once Sam D's out of here, Mo can try and deal some damage, but from a sheer damage perspective right now, EDG are going to be turning out a little bit more, especially when Xiaoxiang can get in aggressively.
I just find it great that, you know, I talked about the TPs before, pretty much all of them use plus the Destiny in combination with it as we come back to live, and V5 do pick up the Dragon to spawn the Mountain Rift, which, when you look at V5's comp, boy oh boy will they be successful off of it.
It's pretty nice to have that Mountain Soul available for them, if they can get it now. Get to look at that Rift Tower being placed down in mid. We'll get some turret plates again from Olin. It's interesting to see how V5 has kind of developed over the course of the summer split, because when we started kicking things off, it was very much, hey, Weiwei's going to play through Sam D and ppgod, they're going to play through the bot side. And if we saw ppgod on something like a Bard instead of this Thresh or Nautilus or Leona or something that they could play aggressive in the bot lane, it'd be ppgod working with Weiwei to play through Mole and Biubiu. Now, though, we're starting to see them just move straight into, okay, we're going to start playing a little bit more through Mole, because Mole right now is on absolute fire for this team, and especially on picks like this Zoe, his impact cannot be understated.
Yeah, I mean, Mole Zoe, 10th game played. And just like a quick stat check for you all as well. Mole's Zoe has a near 80% win rate, so he's lost one individual game so far. And
he had like a 15 KDA last
he's got 10 KDA.
Okay, yeah.
And Mole is the primary damage source alongside SamD, both at 28%, as another bit of a stat throw for you. And, you know, his Syndra, his Zoe, Mole recently has just been on fire. And there's been a player that I know has been talked up from Lyric especially, the Messiah himself. But we looked at Mole in 2019 and he had some real highlight moments. We'll go to the top side quickly, call the ppgod used as the hook shot, wall shot. Hextech ultimatum jumps on down, but in comes Mole once more. Tanked up by Biubiu, another nice dive, and with it the turret should fall down at the 14-minute mark here. As ppgod actually might be called out. Sonic Wave, everything used. Goodbye, Lulu.
Yeah, it doesn't even have time for the wild growth, just gets picked off very quickly. So nice response here from EDG. Will be that mid lane structure going down. The thing for EDG though is they're much more interested in these side lane towers going down, so they can have extended lanes for Xiaoxiang and Scout where they can push in these waves and then try and use Destiny to interact in this mid lane. But tower doesn't even go down. V5 are still able to defend.
And gold is dead even at the 14-minute mark. Remember, those objectives are going to be crucial. So we'll see if another fight breaks out towards the Rift Herald that's spawning very, very soon. V5 actually the benefactors of all the turret plating too, with the Rift Herald drop down mid in the nick of time. But EDG, it's through some of the CS leads building up in mid. The kills going over in jungle to Jiejie. He's 3-1 and 2. There's the big Lee Sid.
He is big, but the problem is we're starting to hit those item spikes we were talking about earlier on for both the V5 cars. Mole has got his Lulu Echo already, even has a stopwatch in there as well. You're looking over at SamD2, who on his next back should be able to finish that Blade of the Rune King. And that means that when we look at that dragon that's about to spawn in 2 minutes, the one that's going to put V5 onto their third dragon, it's kind of in favor of V5 right now, especially if they can set up for these 5 versus 5. Biubiu will just about have his teleport back up as well, so he'll be able to join in and try and get these front-to-back fights for V5.
Dagda, I'm going to pause because Biubiu is building an Iceborne Gauntlet, and I know that a lot of, you know, savants out there, people that are anti-sinners, will look at this and say, is this the right call? You know, there is a bit of AD damage, though, and I think it's fair to say that an Iceborne against this comp isn't the worst. I
think it's a good idea, especially when you look at the ability power damage or AP damage that is on this squad. It's, yes, a Twisted Fate can do some work, but against an Ornn, it's not going to be a massive thing. You're more looking at, okay, well, how tanky can I get with armor to avoid the Ezreal damage, the Camille damage as well, because don't forget, Biubiu, we spent a lot of time in the side lane. So the Iceborne Gauntlet being able to double down and picking up a bunch of these armor items a lot sooner will actually help out Biubiu a lot better in the long run. And he is holding on to that Negatron cloak, so it's not like he's going to be like completely without magic resist, but I actually do like it.
Meiko, Enchantress Arrow flashed away from. One thing burnt, okay. Primary engage still a V5 used, but second Herald's going to be dropped down mid. Hoping Meiko can't defend this alone. And look at where Xiaoxiang is. No way do they stay. And outer turret in the mid lane goes down, but Rift Herald hasn't even charged yet. He got a Zoe with wave clear.
So there's the...
Woo! Flashes forward, Trouble Bubble lands. And the clock goes, whatever that skin is, I know it's the new Zoe skin. It sounds like there's a clock or something every time it hits Trouble Bubble, you know? Bedtime. Oh my god, I just got it. It's bedtime.
Look, it is, at the moment, V5 looking to try and play down this bottom side. I was curious to see if EDG would make the call that they have gone for, which is forego the dragon, we'll fight for the fourth dragon instead of the third dragon, and try and crack open these side lane structures. Xiaoxiang and Jiejie are moving in towards the top side to try and trade 2 towers for the dragon, but you've already got V5 who's answered for 1 turn at least in the bottom side.
Inner going down. EDG at least making some, you know, rational decisions whether to press on in that top side.
And the thing here as well, you've now got on the opposite side of the map to this fourth dragon, a long lane where potentially Xiaoxiang or Scout can look to threaten that inhibitor turret as well. But EDG, either way, you need to fight for this fourth dragon, because a Mountain Soul towards an Ornn, a Trundle, and as well with all the shields and the wild growths that are coming in from ppgod, it's going to be really difficult for you to actually take down V5, especially when they can force stuff like Baron and Elder Dragon, where you will have to fight them 5 versus 5.
It's very easy for me to say Biubiu will not die this game. At the way things are going, you know, it takes the 1 versus 5 Ornn to really cement his death. But Soul Point now coming up. 4 minutes 30. Baron up in a minute 30 as well. And you talked about the reliance on Xiaoxiang here, who has a Trinity Force and Tiamat. Also towards Scout, who has the Rod of Ages stacking up with the Sheen soon to come. These solo lanes of EDG, so many times before we've talked about, especially through like the early to mid-game transitions, how important they are. Now here with Destiny, we're going to see it in action as used, but Weiwei with the Shadow. Great timing here from the jungler of V5 with ppgod just behind them. There's nothing they can do with that ulti, and the game goes on at a heavy pace. I think it's quite interesting to also note that as we get towards the later game, we'll be looking at Hope and how he plays.
Yeah, I want to see what Hope can do here, especially as we talked about. Hope hasn't exactly had... Well, he's had an up and down split because obviously he had some issues with Chris. He was taken out for that series where we saw BBD playing. I was making sure that I didn't say BDD, but BBD, who is not the great mid laner, did end up filling in for a little bit of time. And it's nice to have Hope back because we were praising this guy, how good he was in the last split, and I wanted to see that return here, and especially when you're looking at him as kind of being the main damage source on this team right now, because you were going to have this side lane split push from both Scout and Xiaoxiang. It makes sense that we're getting Hope onto this Ezreal and looking to be the carry.
I'm just watching Biubiu take on Xiaoxiang. He's like, hey man, 2 items strong with both upgrades available. Biubiu is definitely the carry on this game, but boy, does Hope hurt. 207 CS at 20 minutes in the game. He's done as good of a job as Sam D, and he's 2.5 items strong, so Hope is quietly becoming a bit of a big deal. One we will have to track towards this next dragon, the Soul Point, and possibly towards Baron. Right now, V5 are hovering up towards the... What do we call... What is... It's not a... I don't think Baron is a worm.
I don't know what it is.
I think it's a... Look, it's got tentacles.
It's also it's got 3 heads as well, so I don't think there's like
there's
a thing.
Well, all I know is Baron is, you know, a little bit dirty, I'd say, in many different ways.
Either way, I'm kind of surprised to see EDG going back towards this split push comp in a lot of situations, because we haven't had the highest win rate with Camille in the LPL so far, and even when we look at EDG, they've only, so far, out of the 3 games we've seen Xiaoxiang on this, have only won a single game. And it feels like this is oftentimes what happens is, while you're waiting for Xiaoxiang to come online, EDG just lose too much pressure around the map. And that's kind of similar to what's happening here against V5.
Okay, because the arrow, once again, the wall is put up. That absorbs a lot of damage. This is why Braum is a nuisance. But call the Forge God with Subjugate. He's become quite squishy. Goes Golden Hope, gets knocked up. They've used so much to kill this one support. In a minute 30, there is trouble on the lands. Hope is just dead. Mole is actually one of the new kings of the mid lane.
He really is, especially on this Zoe pick. But here's this long top lane that we were talking about, and Xiaoxiang is looking to try and exploit that. We'll be able to get this turret with the Triforce procs, but has to be careful of the rest of V5. As they're going to turn on towards Baron, and Xiaoxiang goes towards the inhibitor.
Yeah, he's going to look towards the inhibitor. Biubiu there with TP, but the thing is, Xiaoxiang is just going to kite his way around. This is so annoying with Destiny coming in as well to start spotting this out. The Baron's not going down quick enough. Jiejie's on the back of the pit, and they've just lost an inhibitor turret for this. Jiejie with the Sonic Wave, in with the Resonating Strike, baits out the Wild Growth onto Mole. He gets the Trouble Bubble once more, but he's just dead to Jiejie, who gets up against a pillar, safeguards out, and V5 need to get the hell out of here, because this was just an absolute calamity of a play. The teleport topside, they're looking to end the damn game.
They're going for the end. You've got the wave, you've got that structure down, and V5, one mistake in 22 minutes could be the end. Biubiu needs to try and clear this wave, but he's no call of the Forge God.
He's been carrying the game so far. Xiaoxiang turns on him versus 3. He's tanky enough. Hope's running in as well. The damage is enough. And just like that, V5 lose game number 1 after controlling most of these picks.
They can't end.
Minion wave's not there. But EDG took down one Nexus turret, and even if V5 don't lose here, that was very embarrassing to watch.
It was, and especially as EDG, as we said, look, they want to play through side lanes, but only a single Nexus turret, an inhibitor turret gone, an inhibitor to boot. And unfortunately for V5, they didn't have the damage to try and take down this Baron quick enough, even with the Blade of the Rune King, the Ardent Sense from ppgod. And then EDG are fast enough to respawn, get back, and the double kill coming in for Xiaoxiang as well.
Well, at the very least, this might just be a mountain salt. Jiejie's coming into the back of the pit. He has a level lead. Sonic Wave doesn't connect, and there's mountain salt. So, what has been a very interesting game so far has just come back to V5's advantage.
Well, you say that. I mean, we still have a massive gold lead over in favor of EDG. They have the ability now because of, I mean, look at this minion streaming in that top lane to get control of this map, which is the big tempo swing that EDG needed. Because now V5 always have to be mindful of their base going down, and this gives the opportunity for EDG to start playing around Baron, which is where they're at the moment, but even start working their way through these side lane structures.
Okay, now we're on Baron though. So, Call the Fort God is usable. Weiwei's on the back of the pit once again, spotted out at 3k. They need to get in there. EDG just going to take this away. Monk jumps in once more. Gold card goes through. Weiwei's over, and he steals it because the smite came through earlier, I believe, from Scout. Weiwei will sacrifice his life as Biubiu just absorbs the damage, gets kicked back. 2 for the cost of Baron, and we swing the game again.
This game is all over the place right now. So EDG, I thought they would have been able to finish it off, but Jiejie with a super early smite wasn't quite able to do so. Actually, might have been. Maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I want to rewatch that. Might have been a.
I think it was a TS
Enunciate
smite.
spellbook.
Yeah,
smite. I want to just get a clarification.
Because Jiejie didn't smite.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look. Of course, this game's been hectic so far. As
yes, there was the smite on the Twisted Fate seems to have come in a little bit early, and that actually gives the opportunity because they didn't time it.
Oh no!
There was no communication. Weiwei manages to get in and steal that away.
Because Scout was level 14, he thought I had the better smite, which is true.
Yeah.
But that's just a horrid
big
mistake.
miscommunication. So it's like the way you want to do that is like 3, 2, 1, smite, and you're both on the same page. But they forgot to clarify if it was one we're smiting on, if it was smite, or what happened, and then this awkward shenanigans happened.
But this whole game has been awkward shenanigans. Now, I apologize. I thought the game was ending before, but for EDG coming so close and then getting that Baron in front of them and miss-smarting just puts the icing on the cake.
And think about how well EDG could close out the game with that Baron. You then got a side lane where you can put Scout in one, you put Xiaoxiang in the other, you've already got that top inhibitor down, only a single Nexus turret as well. It would have been so easy for EDG to close out this game and find themselves a game 1 win in this series, but now they're still looking to try and control these side lanes. Xiaoxiang has got to a point where he can't, like, Biubiu can't contest Xiaoxiang on his own, so V5 have got to push fast now while they've got this Baron buff before Xiaoxiang just becomes even more of a...
I mean, Xiaoxiang is an absolute menace in the side lane that can't be contested. Baron's not going to be used to get this inner turret, but still towards the bottom side inhibitor. This Baron's not going to do very much for V5. Biubiu just has to constantly pay the respect to make sure he doesn't get anywhere near that inhibitor turret and break open another lane.
He will back away now as V5 have done so as well, but I think the main focus now is going to be that Elder Dragon in 2.5 minutes, because EDG are going to do their damnedest to try and get these side lanes pushed out, create aggression on both top that V5 have got to deal with, but as well in this bottom side, so they can fall back towards that Elder and try and burst it down super quickly. Otherwise, they run the risk of V5 being able to keep these side lanes in check. You don't really have any pressure on the map, and EDG are then forced into a scrap with V5, which is not what they really want right now.
Not especially when you get these items coming on board, but I feel like we're just going to wait a couple more minutes and then get another moment in this game #1. And yeah, this has been a game of League of Legends for sure. This is, I always get these, I've noticed, but normally it's with a team like OMG, LNG, I don't know what kind of teams you call those. But to be fair, EDG in spring and summer had some crazy games with them as well. Kind of shows you the testament of why EDG have been a team that have looked great at times, but otherwise looked pretty shocking. Look, this game's still rolling though. We've got a 4K gold lead here for EDG. 28 minutes in. Side lane's under check. And playing through that strong win condition.
This is what we're talking about. This is a game that relies very heavily on EDG's is shot calling. Like, their ability to play the map is going to be what wins them this game. They've now got the Camille that has scaled far enough into the lead where she can deal with anyone in the side lane, including Biubiu's Ornn. And as well, when we look at Scout, he's nicely been paired into the lane with just the inhibitor there, so you don't have to worry too much about him trying to get chip damage. He can consistently pressure that inhibitor and then use the Destiny to join in towards mid or even on that bottom side.
50 seconds till Elder. EDG going to get spotted out here. It's Jiejie and Hope. Hard to lock him down. As Spiller goes in, Jiejie jumps in. Tentacles to arrow follows. What the hell was that? Call the ppgod to rise through. The wild growth may be okay for EDG now, but look at this free-firing Ashe. SamD survives, Hope pokes him down, but they all flash away. Xiaoxiang jumps in, sacrifices his life. Biubiu does the same, flashes out. Mole's there, wants the range. Have you seen a series of unfortunate events?
Yes.
Great movie, Jim Carrey in it. And that's the title of this game one.
A series by Lemony Snicket. That's what we're looking at right now. Hey, look, SamD does a good job of surviving there. You do get this 5v5 where V5 are going to be favored, but EDG managing to get up a little bit faster, so then they're able to find the kill onto SamD. But Xiaoxiang invested a lot there, a lot invested across the board from EDG. And although V5 aren't confident enough to go towards this Baron with SamD not available, you have the TP now on this Ashe. You don't on Xiaoxiang, so there is the opportunity for V5 to rinse and repeat and get control of this river area.
Teleport going to be burned through mid. Here we go. Talking about river control, EDG have it at the moment. SamD TPing in. He's going to get out vision. EDG are lying there and wait. Trundle lands from Mole once again, who's been pretty good so far in this game. Biubiu's walking through. There is a wall there thanks to the Mountain Soul. Jiejie caught out, safeguards away. Now grouping up. Elder's still there, remember. Baron will be up in about a second. As it spawns through, V5 are just going to start up the Elder.
Xiaoxiang is in a flanking position though, so V5 do need to be careful. They want to be the ones that can set up a front to back with a scout off on the side that may be difficult.
Mole pokes him down. Hope Arcane shifts forward. Destiny is used. Here comes into the back. Xiaoxiang there. Scout in another angle. V5 are sandwiched together. There's a gold card. A flash onto Mole. A three-man kick. Lay it down. Biubiu doesn't get the return on call the ppgod. And Mole has to back away. EDG has the poke damage down as flashes come out left, right, and center, but they can't kill Biubiu. Hope, Scout trying for their life, but now that all of V5 are away, he'll drop down. Jiejie doesn't connect with the Sonic Wave. Elder's low. He flashes away once again. Mole's still alive. Weiwei heading through with a frozen domain. Dragon is very, very low as the damage flies through. There's no jungler on V5 anymore. And Mole and ppgod are just going to back.
Mole has to back away, and Elder Dragon goes the way of EDG. TP out coming in from Mole. They want nothing to do with this.
Mole's only just out here with the TP. Elder in hand for another 2 minutes 20. So ppgod will also back. And that's that.
And indecision coming in from V5 there about how they wanted to approach this fight. So Weiwei goes into the pit to try and duel Jiejie, but the problem is, gives him the kick onto three members. SamD goes down instantly. And then that consistent damage isn't quite there. Mole is forced out of this fight because of how low he is. But look at the bottom left corner. EDG with this Elder are now looking to get Baron as well.
Yes, they are. Against the Mountain Soul team. It's just gone. Because Weiwei not up in time. So double buff taken. The smite, again, let's just use this word, atrocious. But the Baron in hand. And 32 minutes in the game. I mean, EDG have the driving force with this one.
But look how big EDG are right now. You've got the 5-kill Camille who's got her Death Stance now finished. You've got a 22-stack Twisted Fate for a Scout, 2, 0, and 12. He's got his Zhonya's, his Lich Bane. He looks like he's working up towards that Rabadon's Death Cap as well. He's going to be massive in this game. And then you look over to Ezreal as well, who's just finished off his own Death Stance and now a Last Whisper to get through all these mountain buffs that you've got over on V5. Like This is EDG very much in command, and with a minute left on this Elder buff, they can use the Baron and that Elder to start threatening the base of V5.
And do it again through Xiaoxiang. Xiaoxiang who's had a pretty decent game so far. There's good scores on the side of EDG, but now they need to close this one out. Scout sitting up there, level 18. Both side laners are actually that same level. And Xiaoxiang, all he needs to do is jump onto someone in the back line, and the game feels like it's over. Elder up for another 40 seconds. Inhibitor turret getting threatened mid, and top inhibitor with bottom side pushing in. At least they have Sam D for a bit of this partial wave clear. As Destiny's being used, they're actually on top of Scout. Troll Bubble is cleansed away from him. Tentacles the arrow, the flash here with the pillar. He's stuck. He goes golden. B5 a group going up. Into the backline though, they target Mole. Elder executes there, and B5 use so much to kill this Twisted Fate now that their fate is ultimately sealed.
And there's nothing left. B5 have only got Biubiu to defend, and it's just not going to happen. EDG managed to swing this game and will manage to take the first.
Last execute from the Elder Soul. This was a very, very messy game, but EDG reclaim it once again after that topside push. They did what they could have, well, not could have done. They did what we thought they would have done a couple of minutes ago. And end game number